Past history exam. Or EOC. Oh, yeah. Passing history EOC. I forgot about that. I figured you guys would come up with some things that I hadn't thought of. Hmm. 2 more minutes. Two more minutes. Oh. Okay. All right, it is 8:40. So let's take a look at what you guys have so far. Volunteering hours that are required for college or school. That's one that I had not considered. So good one. Hadn't thought of that one. Resume. There's different parts of a resume. That's good. I hadn't included resume specifically. College apps, passing history OC, didn't have that either. TOK, I do have this, do. Okay, rest of this I have on here. Thing that I really wanted to bring your attention is, what are we doing? What are we going to need to do over the next couple of weeks and months and actually year before we graduate? So we're going to take a look at that. Give me a moment. I'll switch over my screen. And then we'll come back and we'll complete that document at the end of class, and we'll see how we do. So tasks to be completed. So what are some things that we have to do basically with really all these things need to be done within the year, right? Probably more like 11 months. So let's just start with the university applications. A lot of you guys had on there for university applications. So what do we need to do? First things first, right? Where am I going to apply? So you don't just apply willy-nilly. You're going to spend the next 4 years living there. You need to find a place that you want to be, and not only that you meet the criteria to actually get into. So you'll have a list of, you'll have a list of your safety schools you can get into, your target schools where you're trying to get into these schools. That's where you really want to be, and then your reach school. You never know, you might actually hit one of these reach schools as well. Then obviously this is something that's going to be important. That's going to have to be done before the fall during this calendar year. So, essentially within the next 6 months, have this taken. Also, ACT, you're going to take that tomorrow, but you're probably going to take it again this summer. So that's still on the plate. I would. There's no reason not to go ahead and give it another shot. You submit your best year 2 scores. You'll have to have a personal statement that would be included in your resume that Kimberly had written. So you need to have a personal statement. You'll have the application itself, and I put on here applications because it could be a common assessment for more than one school, or it could be a very specific school that you have to apply to. It's not always going to be just a single application that one size fits all. You could have to go through this process quite a lot. And then also you're going to have to get recommendation letters. Recommendation letters are going to be important. you're going to need to seek out the teachers that you want recommendation letters for. And so if, for instance, if you want a recommendation letter from me, you're going to need to make sure that you get that, you're going to request that recommendation letter before the summer, because I write those over the summer. I like to tailor those. These are going to be a little more difficult to write because we haven't been able to get to know you guys in person like we typically would. So getting these recommendation letters sought after, and I always put a cap on it. I don't do more than 40. The first 40 that come to me and say recommendation letter, and I put on the list, I give to. I also don't write recommendation letters for anybody. You want to find them with somebody that you've gotten to know, right? I need to have something to say. So you need to seek out professors or a teacher or a clergy member or somebody that you're close to give you guys a recommendation letter. You're going to have to write essays, sometimes multiple essays for each university, depending on the school. Some are going to want 1, 2, 3, 4, or more essays, depending on where it is that you are applying. So we're still just looking at university applications. You're going to have to complete something called FAFSA, and this is student aid. It has to be completed by everyone. If you don't complete this, a lot of universities won't even allow you to apply. So you're going to also have to complete this. And this is, again, look how much of this is going to be just in the fall. This is the summer. So this is all coming up. Your essays are going to continue. They're going to continue. Scholarships are going to be needed, right? You know, college isn't free. Let's see. All right. And then apparently Ms. Garcia is looking over somebody's shoulder in there. For IB, specific to IB, which is also included in graduation, you do have the TOK essay. You do have your CAS essay, right? Or not essay, but your CAS project, which is going to include an essay. The extended essay, which it looks like most of you guys have already started on selected topics and you've already started. That's good. I'm glad. I believe you guys are doing this in ELA, am I right? He's already having you guys select these topics?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right. And then your IAs, right? You're going to have IAs for all of your courses, these internal assessments for every single one of your courses. And those are pretty taxing. Those can take a lot of time. Exams. Now, all of this is going to culminate into next year. When you've got all of these things to do, plus this, and this is a lot of this is in the fall, guys, that's a lot. That's quite a bit. That is something that can get really taxing. So it's going to be really important to turn down the heat. When you've got a lot to do, you have to turn down the heat. So I've got kind of a nice little analogy here. I like to use these to kind of illustrate how these things work. I've got two happy faces. There's going to be a line that you have to draw in the sand. I can only do what I can do, right? So if your capacity is only 1, 2, 3, and you got 4 through 7, then you're going to have to spread these out. You're going to have to add another set of time and spread out these other tasks. These other tasks still have to get done, but you can only get so much done at any one moment. So it's good to start soon and now. So what do we have to do to make this work? Well, we make a to-do list and then focus on what you can start. So what is it that you can start now to take off the heat for the fall so that you don't just get overwhelmed in the fall? Because inevitably everyone's going to feel a little overwhelmed in the fall. I watched my son go through this his junior and senior year, and he wasn't in IB, and that would have even made it, just compounded it. So start what you can now to disperse the heat across a given time frame. Ask for help when you need it, before you need it. Don't ask when you need it, but before you need it. I can see I'm going to need help on this. I need to start looking and seeking out that help before it gets too hot. The reason that this could be is the persons that you're asking for help may already be helping someone else. And so their capacity to help you could also be limited because they're experiencing the same issues that you are. Collaboration is important. Where you can collaborate, collaborate. Share work. Show each other what you're doing. Put it on the tips of your tongue. Make sure that when you're talking to people about something, you're talking to them about these tasks. It keeps it in people's minds in the right place. It keeps people thinking about what they need to do. It also shows them examples of what you're thinking. You're getting examples of how they're thinking. It's going to be really important. So, IA suggestions, and this is true for biology as well as all your other courses. Select something you like or you care to learn more about. Be really deliberate about this. You're going to have to spend some time thinking about these and spending it researching, performing, writing. So it needs to be something that you like so that you can stay engaged. And if it's not something necessary that you like, maybe it's just something you're really curious about so that you can keep engaged for a longer period of time. Get a schedule to mix it up a bit. Don't just burn out on one IA. If you might have like it's, I don't know, in a given month, let's say it's April. I'm going to spend week 1 doing English, week 2 working on biology, week 3 working on film, week 4 working on history. You're going to start getting schedules from us on some deadlines to start hitting these. I like to start a little bit early to take the heat off of you guys. So we're going to be starting this process today so that you guys aren't just completely overwhelmed whenever it comes to the end of this semester or really in the fall. Start early, really early, real early. Start early. Don't wait. And if you haven't had a teacher reach out to you guys to start talking to you guys about this, start talking to them about it. My students thanked me a lot last year. They were done with this back in February, and they were like, we are so glad that we got that one started and out of the way so that we were not just bum rushed. Because a lot of teachers are going to wait till the fall. Talk to them about it now so that you aren't just inundated. Kill 2 birds with 1 stone. What is going to be on the exams? So if you know in say history that there in a history of the Americas that there's going to be a lot about Asian American history, and I don't know what I'm assuming that you guys probably haven't got started on all of that yet because you're mostly focused on U.S. history for the EOC. When you see what other topics are going to be studied, go ahead and write your IAs about those topics because you're studying for the exam and taking care of the IA at the same time. If you're going to write an IA for biology, don't do something like you find these Mickey Mouse things that you can find on the internet. Oh, this is a great idea. Like you're going to look at toothpaste efficacy on bacteria on teeth. There's probably not going to be a whole lot about that on the exam. Try to select something that you know. Photosynthesis is easy, collects lots of data. Respiration, something that you know is going to be tested as well as it's going to get you the data set that you need. So thinking about that is going to be important. Don't be smart, like really be smart. Try to kill, again, 2 birds with 1 stone. And again, collaborate. Some of these you are allowed to collaborate on and some are not. And I'll explain that again in a moment. Have an accountability partner. Have an accountability partner. This link here, and I'll publish this in a moment to this PowerPoint, is about selecting accountability partners. It's a really nice little 10-minute article to read. An accountability partner is important. I had these in college. These help me so much. I cannot emphasize the importance of collaboration and having accountability partners and selecting somebody you know is going to hold you accountable. Not be like, will you be my accountability partner? And that person is sitting there chewing gum and with their finger up their nose. You want to select somebody that you know is going to drill down and push you hard. Is going to ask you the pertinent questions. When they see you screwing up, it's going to call you out on it. When they see you doing something great, it's going to cheer you on. You want to find accountability partners that keep you going. And this article, I took this photo from this person. Her name is Denise Sumter. It's a great article. Okay, I've got some really good news though. So the coolest thing about this, again, other than just being that you can drill down on one-on-one topic, is knowing this is how you're going to be scored at the end of next May. So this is going to be paper one, and paper one is super straightforward. That's just a multiple choice. This is going to be open response. This is open response. And this is going to be our option. This is going to be our option. And for us, it's going to be ecology. We're going to do a lot with ecology next year. This is 24% of the exam. And you're going to know so much about ecology that you're going to be able to be an ecologist by the end of next year. Your internal assessment is 20% of your exam or of your grade for the course. 20% of it. And the coolest thing about this is totally in your control. Totally in your control. This is where you get breathing room. This is where you get breathing room. Unfortunately for the kids this year, this is 100% for the graduating seniors this year. For the seniors this year, this is the only thing they get to go on. They're not taking these exams. You guys, you will. This open response is 36%. That's about a third of it. And usually we do pretty good on this. This on multiple choice, though, can typically be hard. This requires a lot of memorization. A lot of memorization, a ton of it. So you're going to have to study and study a lot for this. That's 20%, but that's just sheer memorization. You just put in the time, you get it. We'll work on a lot of these, and this ecology is going to be important. And you guys can select really what you want. If you want something else, I would recommend not doing that. But since 20% of it is in your control, you're great. And remember, you've got to get about 55% overall. So if you get this 20, if you can get full marks on this, then all you got to do is just kind of get a little bit of all of these, and then you can pass it. But that would mean a lot of dedication here. A lot of dedication here. So let's get started. I'm going to discard these. Let's take a look. So what we're going to do today is we're going to spend a little time thinking about this. Get this out of here. Come on, buddy. Come on, buddy. Stop share. Come on. So I'm going back. So what I've got a task for you now. When you do, this is your IA practice. These are proposal practice. And I'm going to open this document and show you what this looks like. And your guys are going to submit one to me that's about yours. But today we're going to annotate one. We're going to really kind of diagnose where are these parts of in another IA. And you guys are going to submit an initial proposal to me on the 13th. So 2 weeks from now, you're going to submit an initial proposal. And then you're going to make some revisions. I'm going to read these and I'm going to give you recommendations. And then you're going to submit your revised proposal. The revised proposal is going to be a summative grade for this quarter. So you're basically getting a retake. This is your initial. This is your retake, and that retake grade is what goes in. There's no retake after this. I'm actually not supposed to even give you written feedback. I'm doing this because it's going to give you a lot more than what you're supposed to. In IB, you're supposed to sit down with me for 10 minutes and just talk to me about what you're going to do. That would not be good considering that we are online. Your 10-minute discussion is not going to cut it. You need a lot more feedback and a lot more help. So I've given you guys kind of some ideas about how much you should write. So all this spacing, obviously when you write, the spacing is going to spread out, but this is about what you should write for your proposal, about this much. Your background, that's quite a bit. You need to write quite a bit. And I've given you some information here to kind of help guide you. So that background, what do you already know about the subject? Include personal knowledge, but most importantly, include research with citations. You must have a minimum of 5 sources in your background, a minimum. And you got your hypothesis, but I've written little bitty pieces of information. So it says independent variable, including units. We're talking about units of measurement. So we're talking about centimeters and it only metric system. Don't give me cups, don't give me inches, don't give me feet, don't give me, I mean, you have to use metric units, including units. Graduations, so like increments, so you have an independent variable. Maybe your independent variable is light. So what would be my light intensity? And you can use light like lumens or whatever unit that you would like to use, but there's going to be graduations of an independent variable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you guys, everybody has access to this document. I'm going to pause, and at 9:05, I'm going to come back and you guys are going to ask me questions. 9:05. So open your document that's yours and read through it, and then start asking me questions. I'll start taking questions at 9:05. It says proposal practice. Your actual proposal is obscured. You can't open it. This is just practice today. Thank you, Jacob, for opening it. Thank you, Carlos. Thank you, Becerra. Thank you, George. Thank you, LeVar. Amarani, we need to get you there. David, Kayla, Diego, Shania. By the way, I'm taking attendance from this. Thank you, Masani. Thank you, Chastity. Thank you, Dev. Thank you, Razak. Randy, I need you to get it. Thank you, Diana. Thank you, Manas. Thank you, Ashmeet. Thank you, Segal. Thank you, Brianna. Thank you, Caleb. Thank you, Miriam. Nope. For those of you guys that aren't able to open it, I need you to reach out to me to tell me why. Yeah. Oh, you don't have edit access? Okay. Thank you. You should have editing access now. Just look through it and ask questions. What questions do you have? Also taking questions in 4 minutes. Okay. Abelito, if you need some help, reach out. Diego, if you need some help, reach out. What you got, baby?
April said the guest Wi-Fi is messing up because he said he's here at school.
Oh, man, I wish I had my hotspot for you. Here. Do the best you can. Don't know LeVar. All right. I'll stop. I'll give you guys time. Just read through it. Just read through it. That's all you need to do so far. Just look through it. What questions do you have about it? Turn off this robot I've got out here. Excuse me. Okay, it's 9:05. You guys start hitting us with your questions, and please come on your mic. It is going to take less time than having to go back and look at the chat. It takes one link out of the chain, makes it faster and easier to talk. So what questions do you have about the proposal?
So this is really just more like a higher level science fair project.
That is all it is. It's like a higher level science fair project, yes.
As it reads just like the science fair projects we used to do.
It essentially, that's what your IA is, and then your group 4 projects anyway. It is an experiment. You have to perform your own experiment that is designed by you and do the write-up for it. It's a little more formulaic in that they ask for a few more things when we get down to the evaluation and the analyzing. I don't have anything for analyzation in here and anything for evaluation. This is just setup. This is just experimental design. That's all this is. But yes, I mean, science is universal no matter where you are. So this is yes, a science fair project. So it's going to be a lot easier for people who've done science fair in the past. And it'll be, you won't have the learning curve that everybody else has.
I have a question. Can we like work with other people doing the same project?
Yeah, on the last, do you see on the very end where it says partners? I think I have it right towards the very end. Yeah, second to last point. If you have partners, you can list those people. I need to know who they are. Now, here's the thing about it. You cannot have the same, there can't be one write-up and that's it. Everybody has to write it independently because they are going to upload all of these all these IAs, and they're going to compare them just like on Turnitin. If anything is the same. So if you were to turn in the same IA as, let's say, I don't know, Keaton, then both of you guys will get disqualified. I'm going to catch that ahead of time, and I'm going to give you're not going to score anything as well. So this will be 20% of your final grade for next year going into your final exam as well.
And it says maximum of 2. Does that mean 2 other people or just partners?
Maximum of 2 other people, so 3 people together. So if you have a partner, you can list 2 other partners. If you do this, you also have to have a different dependent variable. So let's say you were using photosynthesis as your variable, and one person was measuring CO2 consumption, the other person would measure O2 production, because CO2 is taken in as a reactant and oxygen is released as a product. As long as you guys were doing the same lab, but measuring 2 different dependent variables, then you can work together. If you're measuring the same dependent variable, you cannot. IEP does allow you to use different variables. Now that's good and bad. If it were me, I wouldn't want that. I would want to measure both of those variables for myself because it's going to make my lab more interesting. If I'm just trying to check a box and get as much and get done as efficiently as possible, then I'm going to collaborate. But I myself would want more than one dependent variable to measure personally. But there's more than you can do for that. So if I were doing light, you could also measure plant growth, number of leaves, stomate production, color of the leaves, chloroplast density. There's a lot of things that you could, other dependent variables that you could measure. So if you, as long as you can get more than one dependent variable, then that's fine. Good question so far. Keep them up.
Mr. Pope,
Yes.
I have a question. So about the partner thing, does it have to be in the exact class or it can be anybody who takes biology?
It can be anybody in our school that takes biology. So it could be third period or first period.
Okay.
It's a good question.
What
What
are
else?
graduations and the treatments?
Graduations and treatments are going to be like I was saying for photosynthesis. So if I had light intensity, I could go 300 lumens. So a unit of measurement would be lumens. Just like how tall are you? You know, you got to have, you know, how many centimeters tall are you? Lumens would be units of light intensity. So you could maybe you 300 lumens, 500 lumens, 700 lumens. But you have to have graduations, meaning increments. You don't want to just have, oh, we just measured light. Well, how did light, you know, intensity make a difference? Or if it was temperature, if temperature was your independent variable, 20, 30, 40, 50 degrees Celsius, something like that.
For our topic, like, are there any topics, like broad topics you think are easy for this?
Not really. I would probably, I mean, there are some that are going to be easier than others. I mean, the ones that are going to be really best are going to be the ones that are generate a lot of data, like photosynthesis and respiration and osmosis. You could also do simulations with evolution. Evolution can generate a ton of data too. You could do genetic studies where you're measuring the cell cycle, and you could literally sit around and give, you know, root tips treatments on onions and see how often mitosis occurs from a control group to the other. Something that can produce a ton of data. But probably respiration and photosynthesis are the two that can generate the most data most easily. Respiration over photosynthesis. It kind of just depends. Other questions? Really about this, about the document, because you're about to use it.
Mr. Pope, so in the ethical and environmental concerns, do just like identify risk
Yeah,
associated with the project?
you have to write about environmental and ethical concerns, right? So like an ethical concern would be like if you're using plants, right, for photosynthesis. I keep going back to photosynthesis for some reason. Well, plants don't have a nervous system, so it's ethical to use plants. You're not hurting or harming an organism with a nervous system. So you could write about, well, this is ethical because I'm not, treating an organism with outside of their normal range of tolerances, and the plant doesn't feel pain, doesn't have any kind of sense of that. And then you're talking about disposal of those resources. It's not ethical to consume a bunch of resources and just throw them away. At the end of this, you would compost your resources. Therefore, you're not creating pollution, adding to the pollution in the environment. You're using recycled materials, and then those recycled materials are going to be recycled again. You can get into the ethics really easy. That part's really easy. It's a good question, though. Thank you. You're going to see an example in just a second. 2 more minutes, up to 2 more minutes for questions. All right, if there are no more questions, we're going to get started here. I'm going to go back to your proposal. I'm assuming you guys can see me here. Yes?
I have a question.
All right, go ahead, ask.
So for the background research, if we use things that we learned in your class, do we cite you as a source?
Yeah, well, here's the thing. So they have, some things are really common. Like you don't really, are common knowledge. Pretty much everybody that's educated at all knows that plants, when they use photosynthesis, you are going to consume carbon dioxide as a reactant and produce oxygen as a product. You don't have to cite a source for that. That's something that would be pretty much considered common knowledge. That's, you're not going to write about that part and cite, or you can write about it, but you're not going to cite anybody or an author for that, because that's just something that most people should just know anyway. Now, if you're going to talk about the physiology of how we understand that, where you're talking about how these certain enzymes are reacting with CO2 and the, I guess in the dark cycles of photosynthesis, yeah, you would cite a source for that when you really got into the weeds of it. So if you're talking about the light independent reactions versus the dark reactions, there in your research, you're going to cite some of that source. But just to say, CO2 is consumed and oxygen is produced, there's no source that you need for that. But I would not cite my teacher. I would cite literature. And I've got I have to be able to find your sources. And believe me, I'm going to read everything twice. So those 2 sources that you use, I have to be able to find them on JSTOR, which is on a ClassLink, or Google Scholar. And I'll look for them and I'll read them. I spend a lot of time. I probably spend on each IA that you guys turn in, I probably spend about 4 to 5 hours reading it and researching it and vetting it. Because this is really important to your success at the end of this. And I would be remiss to do otherwise. All right, so what you guys are going to do is just play with this. Your proposal here is obscured. I'm going to go ahead and unpublish it. Do not use this one. Do not use this one. This is the one that you're actually going to turn in. You even have the deadline there where it says the 13th. I'll go right back to this folder and I'll pull those proposals and I'll look at it. Right now, you're going to practice. You're just going to practice. And I have a sample. This is one from last year. This is from a student at Summit last year. There are good things about this and there are not so good things about this. This is one that they wrote. I will say that they did get the marks that they needed to pass. All you need to do for this document is just don't cut it, because I should have the settings to where it's amendable by everybody. So don't ever, you guys you can copy and paste, don't cut and paste. It's for you guys to use. You should be able to, it should be just viewer, but you still should be able to, yeah, you can still copy it. You can't cut. You won't be able to cut it. I've got it as a viewer only. You're going to go in here, and some places you can copy and paste the parts, and other places you're going to actually have to write about it and put it in. But I want you to fill out that proposal practice document using this one. Find it. You're going to have partners. Your partners, you're going to be in breakout groups. So you do have a thought partner that you can work with. And there are 29 of you. So I'm going to make 14 groups. They're going to be small groups. You have a partner and you can work together to get this. Actually, I'm going to make the groups 3. I think 3 heads are probably going to be better than 1. 3 people in a group. I'm going to open that, and then I want you just to go through this document, copy this parts, and paste them into your practice proposal, and let's see where you guys are struggling and where you're not. First thing you want to do probably is just read it. I wouldn't go past, I think I'm sharing my screen, am I correct? I am sharing my screen. You can see this
Yes, you
document.
are.
Okay. You don't have to go past assumptions. You don't have to go past assumptions. This is where observations are starting. We are not doing anything beyond just the design, just the design. And this is a solid one. This was a good middle of the road one. I believe this person scored a 5 out of 7, which I was very pleased with. It wasn't too bad. All right, I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to give you guys 15, well, we don't have quite that much time, 12 minutes to work with each other. You guys go for it. Diego, do you need help? Abel, you need some help, baby? Hey, you guys just got a new partner. I moved Chastity. You guys, Caleb wasn't helping doing anything.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Hey, what's up, guys? Hey, what's up?
For the stuff that's not specifically labeled in the sample, are we supposed to define that ourselves? Like if we
What,
didn't,
the graduations?
yes, but also the independent variables and their precautions for safety and ethical concerns.
Yeah, maybe they had not, that may be something that they were missing. So what do you think? You have the independent variables, but you're looking for the graduations and their treatment. That's what you're saying?
I think George identified the independent variable, but yes, the graduations and the dependent variables were not.
All right.
Like the
We're not
control.
listed. They should have done that. So go to the paper, project the paper, their paper. All right, so let's see. Go down to the data, and then we can probably figure that out. Okay, so let's see. Concentrate. There your concentrations. 0, 0.4, 0.8, 1.2. That's your those are your graduations that they used. You can see it because you know your independent variables concentration, and they've got them listed there. 0, 0.4, 0.8, 0.1, 0.2, but they should have listed those. So like, right, y'all found a problem that they had. It'd been great if they had listed that. And what was your other question? What was the dependent variable? Is that what you were asking?
And also, do we leave the spaces for ethical concerns and safety precautions blank?
Yeah, if they didn't have them. Can you determine what do you think the dependent variable is from that data table? What do you think the dependent variable was?
Was it the
Probably the pH.
Yes, the pH, how it changed the pH. It should have said it like in the hypothesis too. Your hypothesis should have an independent variable and a dependent variable. And if they didn't have ethical concern, then they didn't. Thanks for, it's a good question. Excellent. You guys write them up as, you know, get as much in there as you can. I'm gonna close the rooms in 2 minutes. The beautiful people of the world. Hello, beautiful people. So you guys are back. Let's take a look. I just chose one that I saw two people working feverishly. And let's take a look and see what they had. They think they did a pretty good idea. Did a pretty good job on this, but they could have done a little better. On this title, they did not include the cause and effect, the independent variable, dependent variable. That would have made this title better. They talked about soil purification using these sunflowers, but they really maybe could have talked about, like, I don't know, I guess the sort of the dependent variable would have been the application of the sunflower, but they could have talked about modeling oil versus pH or something. I don't know. They could have maybe made this a little better, the title. You guys did a good job, and this person did do a good job adding that aim and that purpose. Did any of you guys find safety and precautions in the document?
We found a little bit about it listed in the, I think in the background, but there wasn't like a specific part that said safety and precaution or ethical and environmental.
Okay, so that could have been enhanced too, right? That could have been enhanced. I had also probably re-mentioned safety as I was going through my my procedures, my list of my methodology. I think I would have included those and re-emphasized those to make sure I scored that mark, because that's an easy mark to get, right? Simple, easy mark to get. Did they have a specific section for ethical environmental concerns?
I didn't see one, no.
You didn't see one? But then, yeah, so they could have enhanced that, right? They could have enhanced there, and so this person probably missed a mark there as well. Simple little thing to get, like, right? That's a little simple little box to check and get. They did have a focus research question. Decrease oil contents. I might have been a little more focused to talk about the type of oil, because they talked about a crankcase oil. That might have made it a little more focused, but they did in the introduction have a focus question, and it was fairly specific. They would have been a little more specific and talked about the type of oil, the weight of the oil. The background seemed pretty good. They did have citations. Looks like in this case they had seven citations, so that was good. I think they used Chicago on this, but I can't really fault them on the background. Their background was longer than this, though. Am I correct? Or was that it?
I think that was all. It was just like a paragraph.
Okay, they could have enhanced that and done a little more there. They did have a hypothesis with a reason. Soil content is photo extracted, metabolized, and okay, so they did talk about why it was going to work. They did have the concentration, but they didn't list the treatments. So we know what the treatments are. If you look at the data table, we know what 0, 0.4, 0.8, 1.2. You could find that, but it would have been better to specifically list those graduations. So they missed a mark there. Somebody has something in the chat. Let me see. Yeah. They didn't talk about why they were using those individual treatments. That would have been smart, especially if they're thinking, I know I've got to let you guys go, but I don't want to mess you guys up. I realize that I might have to hold you another 60 seconds, but it will help you in the long run. So I'm going to take another 30 seconds. If you want to leave, you can leave. The dependent variable, number of days, pH. What number of days was it? That was just how long it went. They did have the controls. They didn't describe why they kept these constants. I don't know. If you guys need some extra help, though, I will be meeting with you guys after class. I'm not going to do the retake for last class, for the last exam. I'm going to wait till next week because you guys have the ACT. So I'm going to bow out and let you guys be. Oh, when do you submit this? No, you don't have to submit this. This was just practice. All right, you guys be good.
I misspoke.
All right, bye-bye, baby.